Oh well, glory be and mercy me, we've done it yet again. Here we are, another daily walk around the graveyard. Another beautiful one. Man, if you are stuck inside, if you're stuck indoors, if you're doing that kind of stuff, do yourself a favor, man. Do yourself a favor, get outside, walk about, experience life when you can, right? That's something I've got to remind myself, of course, from time to time. Got a beach just down there, and it seems difficult, more and more difficult to get down there, but I got to do it. It's a beautiful thing to do. Today we're talking about the heavy stuff. I guess that's what this channel is for, right? Talking about the heavy stuff. Mass shootings in the United States. It's now gotten to the point where there are more mass shootings in the United States this year than there are days in the year. That some states, like the state of Texas, is experiencing this to a high degree, others less so. But across the board, it's a mass endemic, because clearly the way the United States is dealing with it is not directly, not by doing anything, not by trying anything, but by just shrugging and saying, well, I guess we'll just learn to live with it. This has the entire world asking what is going on in the United States. This is the only country in the world that has this problem. The only country in the entire world that is having this rash of mass shootings, to the degree where it's become somehow normalized, to the degree where people now are just sort of shrugging and saying, well, arm the teachers, arm people. The only way to beat a bad guy with a gun is with a good guy with a gun, right? And of course the question is interesting because it's not as simple as, oh well, the United States is awash in guns, right? Lots of places are awash in guns. Canada is awash in guns. There are extraordinarily poor nations where everyone has access to weapons, right? That don't have this mass shooting issue. And so the question then becomes, well, what's the heart of this? What's causing this? Because we all know that the United States is never going to disarm, right? They just spent 20 years arming their police with military-grade hardware in order to act as occupying forces in their own communities and in their own neighborhoods. They're not going to disarm, right? I don't know why people are saying defund the police when we should be saying disarm the police, right? Forget about defund the police. Disarm the police, right? That's the only way that you're actually going to successfully disarm the United States population, right? It's through disarmament of even the police. But even then, the amount of mistrust for government that the capitalist class have fomented, the amount of mistrust for institutional power, right, means that any attempt to actually disarm the populace is going to be seen as an act of aggression and an act of war, because the institutions throughout the United States have delegitimized themselves so effectively and persistently. To me, the true dark heart of what's going on with these mass shooting movements and this mass shootings is that we have a youth culture. We have a culture within the millennials, within Gen Z, within the next generation, the apocalypse generation, that is fully aware, even though they lack the ability to articulate it as cleanly as all this, but they're fully aware of their abandonment. They're fully aware that their life moving forward is only going to get harder, that their life moving forward is only going to be more difficult, that things are only going to get stupider and more absurd and more ridiculous. And they're fully aware that buying in to this society, just get a job, work harder, right, do all these kinds of things, you gotta succeed, is a fool's errand in a society that's structured to destroy itself, both figuratively, existentially, through the destruction of these institutions and institutional power, but literally through the destruction of climate change, the coming famines, The food shortages, as they're being called, by even Joe Biden, are just going to solidify this idea in the minds of younger generations. That what are we doing here? What are we striving for? What are we attempting to accomplish? And the answer is we are attempting to empower a tiny handful of oligarchic billionaires exclusively. That's the only thing we're attempting to do, and it's failing. And it's failing dramatically. And you have kids who don't know where to put this anxiety and depression and anger and frustration. And so what are they doing? They're raging against any institution they can find. They're raging against any structure they think exists. Their anger is being poured out against the other and against whatever institution they think has affronted them. So in terms of the school shooting, right? For kids like this who are growing up in a school system that's actively working to betray them, they view these schools as no better than a prison. Why shouldn't they pick up a gun and open fire and sacrifice themselves against this illegitimate enterprise that's seeking to destroy them? Why shouldn't they do that? It's an easy leap to make. Or on the other side of it, the people who buy into things like the Great Replacement theory, or these hyper-racist sort of ideas, like the shooter that went into that store and shot a bunch of African-American people, right? Well, you're buying into an institutional control system that you're fighting against, right? And the whole thing revolves around the reality, and it's a hard, cold reality about North American politics, is that we have been abandoned, that the abandonment is palpable. The next generation, the millennial generation, is worse off than the Gen Xers. The Gen Xers were worse off than the boomers. Gen Z will be worse off than millennials, and the next generation after that will be worse off than them. And it's all because of a determined, persistent decision to abandon people. That the constant gaslighting, the constant individualization, the constant throng of saying the problem is yours, you have to fix it, as the system itself turns against those very same people. Even the people who are espousing the gaslighting are steadily being abandoned. It's only logical that in a system that is working this hard to abandon the mass of people, that there would be those who refuse to go down quietly. Not everyone is taking to YouTube and doing videos like this in order to express their frustration and their anxiety and attempt to find a way out and solve the problem. Some people take that same energy and pick up weapons and blow places up, and it makes all the sense in the world the second you realize that it is an expression of their abandonment. And if we want to solve the problem, then the solution is to stop abandoning people. Aha! But this would require a confrontation against capital that the structure of our system is incapable of doing. Our structure literally exists in order to facilitate capital. We can't vote our way out of it. The people who have taken power are sociopaths. They've lost the capacity, or they simply didn't have the capacity for empathy in the first place. And even if they did have empathy, the system itself is designed to protect capital first and foremost, and say to the people who are victims of these anger-filled, gun-wielding people, the solution is to buy more guns. The only way we get out of this, is by gathering in force and surrounding the halls of power. It's literally the only thing that has been left for us, is to organize together, is to come together, surround the halls of power, go on strike, stop participating, and demand something be done. All right, guys, it's the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe. YouTube is doing everything it can to demonetize me and censor me and shadow ban me, just like, you know, the 9,000 channels they just purged recently, the 70,000 videos they just removed recently, right? All leftist content. Get rid of the leftists, right? Can't have communists actually talking sense. Can't have people actually talking about how we need to do something about this system of abandonment, right? So it's only a matter of time until I'll be chased off the platform. Please consider donating to my Patreon. That gets you into my Discord, that gets you connected to the community that we're building, right? We are attempting to find a way to organize and gather in mass in order to actually push back against this system of abandonment. Always remember, guys, you are a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. The temporal refugee. The billionaire class is spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make sure you never realize it, you stay quiet, and just stay the good little commodity that you're supposed to be. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.